Welcome to the Talking HealthTech podcast. My name is Peter Birch. We're here at Australian Healthcare Week and I'm at the Medicity booth and I'm joined by Peter Rady and Brendan Tang. Gents, how are you going?
Really good.
Good, thanks.
It's great to have you here on the podcast. Thank you for having me here. So, Medicity, no stranger to Talking HealthTech, and it's been great to do a fair bit on the podcast, but I'm keen to learn about some of the news and what's been happening with Medicity since we last spoke on the podcast. So it might actually be good, Peter, to firstly get an update on what's been happening since we last spoke on Talking HealthTech.
Well, the big news is this month we have new owners. So Streamline Solutions is a company we've been working with for 8 years, and they were our development partners for our original Eve product. And so once that was commercialized, Cabrini put together the Medicity business unit, and we went on to develop eCaptors with our own dev team. And it got to the stage where we've been working together so closely that we all came to a decision to sell the business to Streamline. So now we're part of Streamline Solutions, which is a great outcome because we all know each other. We've worked together closely for 8 years. I've known Brendan for the 3 years I've been at Medicity, and it's a great working relationship.
Well, I'm super keen to learn more about Streamline and Brendan in just a sec, but I wanted to kind of just emphasize too, because Medicity coming out of Cabrini, that's a pretty unique and powerful collaboration in and of itself in terms of being connected in on that clinical side. And I think we've gone into that in a bit of detail in prior conversations, but perhaps at a high level too, just for those unfamiliar, maybe explain that connection there firstly, and maybe like ongoing what that looks like as well.
So yes, we were part of Cabrini Health, and we were part of the Cabrini Technology Group, a business unit of that unit. And going forward, we've got a really tight partnership contract with Cabrini, so that's not going to end. We're moving forward together in this new mode with being part of Streamline Solutions.
Amazing, thank you. And Brendan, I'd love to learn a little bit more about Streamline and what that's all about.
Yeah, well, Streamline's been around for a very long time, and we're no stranger to the health industry. We started in 1990 as a SI CRM style company, and we were doing all sorts of jobs out there, from government to education to utilities, finance and healthcare. And in the last 20 years, we actually made more of a focus towards healthcare and finance. So we were basically CRM before CRM was a buzzword. And one of our core anchor clients is actually MEPACS, which has the Personal at Victoria contract for all the elderly at home, where they press the button for daily wellbeing checks and falls management. So when we actually met Cabrini, of all people, we were on a trade mission to China with the Victorian government, of all people. And we met Cabrini as a delegate on that program, and we had no idea that they had such a vast technology group and spans into a lot of the other hospitals and the likes. So it was pretty interesting when we met them to see that they had such a great reach. So when we came back to Melbourne, we looked at each other and said, we like each other. What can we do together? Great technology, content providers, maybe we can do something. And that was where the whole Eve project really started.
Yeah, interesting. So that makes sense into when you were saying there's that strong partnership there. And it's always great when you can look at like, hey, let's work on this and see how the partnership develops. I'd love to get your thinking in terms of why like go right through to acquisition. That's quite the commitment.
Yeah, well, it's been an interesting journey. Well, as Peter was saying, this started 8 or 9 years ago in terms of that first trip to China and that first pilot with Cabrini, testing each other out. It started out as a pilot project at Cabrini, and it gained so much traction, and they actually found such a gap in the market that we said, you know what? I think we need to actually do something properly with this. So we both gave commitment to that whole entire process and looked for customers outside of Cabrini as well, and it just took off like wildfire. So the business grew to such an extent that it really was starting to hinder itself by being under two entities at the end of the day. So to make sure that Medicity could grow properly, it made more sense to be under one single company.
Got you. Yeah, I guess at those different stages of growth for an organization or a product, it's important that you've got that right structure to be able to continue to serve clinicians, patients, and all of that. And actually, just thinking about product for a second, Peter, looking at Medicity and Eve, tell me a little bit more about where the product's at the moment, because there's probably been a bit of evolution and growth since we last spoke on the podcast too.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of work redoing all the UX user design and refreshing all the screens. So you'll notice there's in all the new banners and brochures, it's got a very new, clean look. We've revised a lot of the way a lot of the tools worked. We've got out and looked how a lot of other people have done tools and came back and did working groups, and we've actually made some huge improvements, and we can do it a stage at a time. Yep. And so these changes go live in the product very, very quickly. We're not quite there yet, but we're most of the way.
No, that's it's always a journey, right?
Yeah.
And Brendan, looking at the suite of stuff that Streamline do now, you gave me a little bit of context in terms of background and the work in that CRM space too. How does Medicity and that package of solutions then fit in with the rest of what you do?
Yeah, so essentially, what we've started to do in the last 20 years or so was we wanted to make a focus on finance industry, where we do core banking in Asia very, very significantly. We're in 80 of the tier 1 banks across Asia and a lot of credit unions in Singapore. But then in Australia, we wanted to do a lot more in the healthcare side. So when we actually started to go down the productization path, instead of doing custom solutions, it was a change with the industry, essentially. So when we started business, everything in industry was, tell me what you want, we can build it, and we would build it rapidly, securely, and effectively, going up against all the big boys. Back when we started, there was us and Oracle, really. There was no one else. Dynamics didn't exist. Salesforce didn't exist. They were not even a concept. So when the opportunity came to take over Medicity, it gave us more of a healthcare-orientated division that we wanted to focus on to be able to create a bigger mark in that area, essentially.
Yeah. Cool. And then so on the product side, Peter, where do you see then how you're placed to be able to then build, like what does the end user need now, and what are you capable of building out? What are you excited about building out?
That's really interesting. So we've got 2 product lines now. So we brought eCaptus across, of course. So we've got 2 different platforms which we're going to build on. So we've got a lot of new design ideas and product ideas, which I can't tell you too much about, but some of them are along the based on the eCaptus model. And we've also got not many people know that Eve is built on what's called a mobility framework. And so we can now start to develop new products for other parts of the hospital with the same concept of Eve, where it's got a community forum, tools, content. All those structured parts of Eve are actually a framework. It's nothing that was specifically made for Eve. It was always intended to grow into other areas. And so there's lots of exciting things coming.
Yeah, and that ties a little bit into what Brendan was saying earlier about like not just building custom solutions and then building another custom solution, and looking at having that framework and scalability to solve particular issues and do those rapidly. Brendan, looking strategically then at what Streamline does, what are you most excited about? You touched on then, that Medicity gives you that kind of channel to really look at solving problems in healthcare. What are you excited about bringing those different solutions across industries, and what would that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've always been platform first. We're all about platforms that we can give to clinicians or hospitals to deliver their content to their patients at the end of the day. So what we've done is we've actually tried to build our products with specific types of areas in mind that are, some are generic and some are more specific to the verticals within healthcare, with intentions that we're doing really, really well in the maternity market, and we can almost apply that same sort of model with the same product to some of these other areas as well. So the idea is to have 1 or 2 core products that can then scale in the different areas within the commonalities within the healthcare industry.
Yeah. Yeah, interesting. Well, I'm looking forward to watching how things continue and as you get settled in what you do. Well, I say settled in, you've been working with each other for so long. It's kind of like, let's get to the next level. So looking forward to seeing how that progresses over the next 6, 12, 24. And there'll be more details on the Talking HealthTech website, on the Medicity listing. So, gents, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Pete.